Notes 4.4 are on systems of equations with word problems. Do not forget to write let statements. So we need to make sure that we are doing everything that we talked about in our unit a couple units ago about solving any type of equation. So the first thing we talked about is underlining key information, okay? So in number 1, it says that Alexa purchased 12 pens and 14 notebooks for $20, okay? And Hannah bought 7 pens and 4 notebooks for $7.50. Find the price of 1 pen and the price of 1 notebook algebraically, which means that we have to either use substitution or elimination to figure this out because we can't figure this out by graphing or by guess and check, okay? Algebraically means you got to set up some type of an equation. So now that we've done that, we need to identify what we need to figure out. What we need to figure out is the price of 1 pen and the price of 1 notebook. Now I have to ask myself, how many things do I not know? Well, I don't know how much a pen is and I don't know how much a notebook is. So I'm going to write 2 let statements. My first let statement is going to say let the price, and make sure you're really specific. Don't just say pen, because if you say pen, I don't know what that means about the pens. Are you talking about the number of pens or are you talking about the price of the pens? We know the number of pens. What we don't know is the price of the pen, okay? So let the price of pen equal P, whatever you want to call it. And then we'll say let the price of notebook equal N. Okay, and now I'm going to write my information out. I have 2 variables though, which means I need to have 2 equations. So the first equation is going to be Alexa's equation, which says that she bought 12 pens, so 12 per price of pen, plus 14 notebooks, and she spent $20. Okay. On the flip side, we know that Hannah bought 7 pens and 4 notebooks, and she spent $7.50. Now you can use substitution or elimination to solve this problem. For me, I don't think substitution is easy, only because to isolate a variable, I'm going to have fractions or decimals, and I'm going to try to avoid it. So instead, I'm going to use elimination, okay? And I think I'm going to eliminate the n's, because I can change 14n and 4n both into 28n. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by 2. And I end up getting 24p plus 28n equals 40, okay? And then I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by -7, because remember you want the variables to cancel out, and you need a positive 28n and a negative 28n. So I'm going to say this is negative 49p minus 28n equals negative $52.50, okay? Now I can add my equations together. And when I add my equations together, I end up getting negative 25n equals negative $12.50. Negative 29p, excuse me, equals negative $12.50. The n's cancel each other out. Divide both sides by negative 25, which means that p is equal to 50 cents. Well, now that I know what p is, I can plug it into any equation I want to solve for n. So I will plug it into the top equation. Just going to arbitrarily, randomly choose an equation to plug it into. So I'm going to say 12 times 0.5 plus 14n equals 20, okay? So then 12 times 0.5 is 6, so I get 6 plus 14n equals 20. So that means that 14n equals 14, because I can subtract 6 from both sides, which means that n equals 1. So then at the end, once you figure this all out, I can say that n is $1 and that the price of the pen is 50 cents. So then I can just write a quick little sentence saying what I know. 1 pen costs 50 cents and a notebook is $1. And that's my final answer. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and read through number 2 and make sure to underline key information as we are doing this. Tyler has a collection of grasshoppers and crickets. He has 561 insects in all, and then the number of grasshoppers is twice the number of crickets. All right, find the number of each type of insect that he has. So if you guys notice, by the way, I'm specifically color coding this so you can see where these words translate into equations. And I'll explain that a little bit more in a couple minutes. So first of all, you got to ask yourself, what do I need to figure out? Well, I want to know how many of each type of insect he has. I also need to write my let statements. So there are two things that I don't know. I don't know how many grasshoppers and I don't know how many crickets. So I'm going to write my let statements for those two pieces of information. So we're going to say let the number of grasshoppers equal G. Okay? And then we'll say let the number of crickets equal C. Now, the first piece of information is that there are 561 crickets and grasshoppers altogether. So, see how this is color-coded blue? I'm going to write my equation in blue. That means what this is saying. This is just saying that G plus C equals 561. Okay? And then it says that the number of grasshoppers is twice the number of crickets. So the number of grasshoppers is G, right? And then it says is, which means equals, twice the number of crickets. So I'm going to say take the number of crickets and multiply it by 2. Now that I've done that, I can either use substitution or elimination, or I could graph it out to see how I want to do this. I'm going to use substitution because this G is already by itself. So in this equation right here, instead of G, I'm going to replace it with 2C. Okay, so it becomes 2C plus G equals 2C plus C. Remember, the whole point of substitution is to only have one variable. So 2C plus C equals 561. So then combine your like terms, you get 3C equals 561. Divide both sides by 3, and you end up getting C equals, 187. Okay, so the number of crickets you know is 187. Now you can just plug that into your equation, either one, to figure out how many grasshoppers there are. And I'm going to plug it into the bottom equation. Again, it really doesn't matter. So G equals 2, but instead of C, I'm going to replace it with 187. Okay, so that means that G is equal to 374. Okay, so we know the number of grasshoppers is 374. We know the number of crickets is 187. We can just write out a little statement to give our final answer, and then we'll be good to go. So we will say there were 374 grasshoppers and 187 crickets. There we go. Okay? Make sure to mark down any questions you have on the side. All right, number 3, last one. A total of 600 tickets were sold for a concert. Okay? So I'm going to underline this in one color because that's a key piece of information. All right, total. If the tickets sold in advance cost $25 each, and the tickets sold at the door cost $32 each, and $16,309 worth of tickets were sold, how many of each type of ticket was sold? So again, I gotta ask myself, how many things do I not know? 2. I don't know the cost, or I don't know the number of advance tickets. So I'm going to say let the number of advance tickets equal A. Okay, and I don't know the number of door tickets, right? So I'm going to call that D. All right. And then it says a total of 600 tickets were sold for a concert. So that means that the number of advance tickets and the number of door tickets add up to 600. So if I were to write that as an equation, I would say A plus D equals 600. Okay? And then my other equation would be based on the price. So the tickets sold in advance cost $25 each. So it would be $25 per $25 per ticket, right? So that would be 25A plus $32 per door ticket, and that's going to equal 16,309. Okay? Now you can use substitution or elimination to solve this. It's 100% your choice. I'm going to use substitution. So I'm going to subtract the A from both sides and isolate the D. So I get D equals 600 minus A. So now all I have to do is every time I see a D in this equation, I'm just going to plug in 600 minus A. So I end up getting 25A plus 32 times 600 minus A equals 16,309. Okay? Then I just go through and solve it like a regular equation. So 25A plus, when you distribute the 32 to the 600, you end up getting 19,200 minus 32A equals 16,309. Okay? Combine your like terms, you end up getting negative 7A plus 19,200 equals 16,309. So then you end up getting negative 7A equals, subtract the 19,200 from both sides. You get negative 2,891. Divide both sides by negative 7. That means that A equals 413. So 413 tickets were sold in advance. Okay, but how many tickets were sold at the door? Well, you know that A plus D equals 600, right? So that's what I'm going to use as my equation. You can use any equation you want. I prefer to use this one because it's simpler. It's a lot easier to deal with. So instead of A, I'm going to replace it with 413 plus D equals 600. Subtract 413 from both sides. It means that D is equal to 187. Okay, so there were 413 advance tickets and 187 tickets sold at the door. So we'll just write a little sentence to explain what happened, and then we will be good to go. So there were 413 advance tickets sold and 187 door tickets. All right. See you next class.